Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're unpacking an incredibly frustrating mystery, the dreaded 3 a.m. wake-up, and we're going to look at the hard science behind a unique liquid supplement called U-Sleep. Right, because if you're a woman, say between 40 and 60 here in the US, and you're battling chronic sleep issues, well, you already know the standard drink some chamomile tea advice just doesn't cut it. So today, we're skipping the generic tips. We're getting right into the specific biology of why your sleep shifts so dramatically and what the research actually says about this particular formula.
Okay, picture this, because I know I've been there. It's exactly 3 a.m. You're wide awake, staring at the ceiling in the pitch dark. Your body is just utterly exhausted, but your brain has decided it's the perfect time to run a full corporate board meeting.
Oh, absolutely. And listen, if that sounds familiar, you are so not alone. It's a wildly common experience. But here is the absolutely crucial part we need to understand. It's not traditional insomnia, and it is definitely not your fault. It actually boils down to a massive shift in your hormones and your neurochemistry.
Okay, but why 3 a.m. specifically? What is so magical or maybe cursed about that exact hour?
Well, it's all about cortisol. We usually think of cortisol purely as this bad stress hormone, but it actually manages our whole sleep-wake cycle. Normally, it's supposed to gently rise in the early morning to help you wake up for the day. But for women over 40, especially navigating perimenopause or menopause, declining levels of calming progesterone and shifting estrogen completely disrupt that cycle. So instead of a gentle morning rise, you get this really sharp, early cortisol spike right around 3 or 4 a.m. that just forcefully jolts you awake.
But, that cortisol spike is only half the equation. The other half is GABA. Think of GABA as your brain's primary internal brake pedal. It's what quiets down neural activity so you can actually slip back into deep sleep. When your GABA activity is running low, your brain literally cannot downshift.
Okay, let me make sure I've got this straight. So my body is slamming on the gas with that huge cortisol spike, but the brakes, my GABA, are totally shot?
Exactly, you hit the nail on the head. And that specific combination is exactly what creates that brutal, tired but wired state. Your body is physically drained, but your mind just absolutely refuses to turn off.
Right. And out of sheer desperation to fix that feeling, I know so many of us just cave. We run to the drugstore and buy standard melatonin.
We do, but that leads to what researchers call the melatonin mistake. Those standard drugstore supplements blast your system with massive doses, usually anywhere from 5 to 10 milligrams. But get this, your body's natural production is incredibly small. We're talking literally just 0.1 to 0.3 milligrams.
Wait, no way. So we are taking like 30 to 50 times what our bodies naturally make?
Yes, it's wild. And taking those massive doses night after night can actually suppress your body's own natural production over time. Plus, it leaves you feeling horribly groggy the next day, which completely defeats the whole purpose of getting rest in the first place.
So, to intentionally avoid that dependency, the U-Sleep formula utilizes a highly precise microdose of just 0.9 milligrams of melatonin. It is a very intentional, science-informed choice.
I see, so it's just enough to gently trigger that signal to your brain that, hey, it's time for sleep, but low enough that it doesn't overwhelm your receptors and give you that terrible morning hangover?
Exactly. It keeps the dose so much closer to what your body naturally creates on its own.
But here's the thing, just 0.9 milligrams of melatonin alone isn't going to solve the whole cortisol and GABA problem. So instead of blasting your system with heavy sedatives, this formula pairs that microdose with 9 other clinically studied ingredients to create a real synergy. For example, it uses highly bioavailable magnesium glycinate to physically relax the body and L-theanine to increase those really calming alpha brainwaves.
Wow, okay. And looking at this, it even includes GABA directly, plus lemon balm, which I've read helps prevent the breakdown of GABA in the brain. I'm honestly pretty impressed by how comprehensive this non-sedative approach is. It's like a whole system reset.
Okay, I have to ask about one of these ingredients. I have seen that viral cherry juice trick all over social media lately. Is that actually real or just internet hype?
The science behind it is very real. That trend is all about tart cherry extract. It is actually one of the very few natural food sources of melatonin that is thoroughly documented in peer-reviewed research. Studies show it naturally raises your melatonin levels and really improves overall sleep efficiency.
Ah, gotcha. So by using the concentrated extract right in the formula, you're getting all those amazing sleep benefits without having to chug a huge glass of juice right before bed.
Exactly. And more importantly, you'd totally avoid the 25 grams of sugar that usually comes in that glass of juice.
Okay, so great ingredients, sure. But I feel like traditional pills never, ever work fast enough when you are just desperate for sleep.
And that is exactly why this formula uses something called sublingual nanoemulsification. In plain English, you take it as liquid drops directly under your tongue.
Oh, nice. So it absorbs way faster?
Significantly faster. Because they use these nano-sized particles, it hits your bloodstream in just a matter of minutes. It is just so much more efficient than waiting 30 to 45 minutes for a capsule to break down in your digestive tract when all you want to do is sleep.
So, the big question, what actually happens when people use this? We went ahead and aggregated data across more than 40 published reviews, plus we looked at data from biohackers who rigorously track their sleep with Oura rings and Whoop bands. And the single most consistent outcome reported was a massive reduction in those dreaded 3 a.m. wake-ups.
That is huge. So people are going from waking up 2 or 3 times a night down to just 0 or maybe 1 wake-up?
Yes, exactly. And right alongside that, users consistently noted falling asleep in like 15 to 20 minutes instead of tossing and turning for an hour, and experiencing absolutely zero morning grogginess.
All right, well, as our independent research hub, you gotta tell me the catch, because no product is perfect. What are the real limitations here?
Very fair question. First off, we need to be clear, this is not an overnight magic pill. It takes about 2 to 4 weeks of consistent use for these ingredients to properly regulate your system. Second, there's no single bottle option available to buy. The mandatory 2-month minimum order comes with a pretty premium $138 price tag.
Okay, good to know. And what about medical restrictions? Anything to watch out for?
Yes, this is absolutely crucial. Because the formula contains 5-HTP, which affects serotonin levels, it is absolutely not suitable for anyone taking SSRIs or other serotonin-affecting medications.
I have to admit, that $138 price tag right up front makes me a little hesitant to just try it out on a whim.
That makes total sense. It's an investment. To offset that financial barrier, the product is backed by a really strong 60-day money-back guarantee. And what's great is the refund process is handled entirely independently through ClickBank's buyer protection system.
Oh, really? So I don't have to get on the phone and argue with some customer service rep to get my money back?
Nope, not at all. You simply go to the ClickBank support portal, type in your order number, and request a no-questions-asked refund. It acts as a totally risk-free safety net so you can comfortably test it out for those required 2 to 4 weeks.
So, bringing it all together, this formula is a fantastic fit for women between 45 and 60 who are dealing with those really specific menopause-driven sleep disruptions and, of course, those maddening 3 a.m. wake-ups.
Right, and definitely for anyone whose racing mind leaves them feeling tired but wired, or if you've developed a bad tolerance to taking massive doses of standard melatonin.
Exactly. On the flip side, you should absolutely skip this if you are taking SSRIs or MAOIs, if you're just looking for a really cheap drugstore aid, or if you're expecting some kind of quick overnight fix. It really is for long-term regulation.
If the 3 a.m. wake-up, the racing mind, and that awful melatonin grogginess sound exactly like your lived experience, U-Sleep might be a science-backed alternative well worth looking into. Go ahead and check the link in our description below to see the current pricing and explore if that 60-day trial makes sense for you.
And just a quick heads up for transparency, the link below is an affiliate link. That just means we might earn a small commission at no extra cost to you if you do decide to purchase. But as always, our analysis in this explainer remains completely independent, impartial, and based strictly on the published research.
You know, the science of sleep is constantly evolving, and dealing with chronic sleep issues can feel so incredibly exhausting. But simply understanding your own biology and realizing this isn't just all in your head is the very first step to finally reclaiming your rest. So think about it. What would your days actually look like, and how much better would you feel if you finally stopped running full board meetings in your brain at 3 a.m.?
Seriously, here's to finding out and to finally getting a really good night's sleep.